This month, I want to discuss communication within family units, relationships in general, and different styles that are both present and then ways to change into a healthier way of communicating. So let's get started by talking about communication as the means of listening and respecting each other's ideas within a family unit. Families are our safety net. It's a place that we like to go to feel like we're supported and loved. And communication styles affect that and the feelings a lot. A healthy family unit has a style of communication that we call assertive, which means that everybody within the unit is allowed to talk, that they are heard by other family members, and that they feel respected with the ideas that they're sharing. There can be times of disconnection and reconnection within this unit, but everyone feels safe to communicate their ideas. This is a healthy way of communicating. One style of communication that I see frequently in families that are having problems is called passive aggressive communication. And that's when you find subtle digs behind the scenes or behind other people's backs, and people just don't feel comfortable talking within these family units. With a passive aggressive style of communication, problems fester beneath the surface. They're not directly addressed. And these things become family eruptions as people can't keep them in and are trying to let them out in kind of sideways. So we need to directly address situations. Another style of communication I see often in families that are having trouble is an aggressive form of confrontation or communication. And that's just what it sounds like. It's shouting and aggression and not calming down and having a conversation that is back and forth, but usually one sided. And this usually ends in anger and hurt and no solving of any issues whatsoever. In these situations, people feel unheard and undervalued and end up holding things more inside so they're not resolving issues. In an aggressive style of communication, when that is used, there's a lot of belittling and shouting and unsafe feelings for those who are trying to communicate. And this style usually ends up with others shutting down, and there is no way to have a good back and forth conversation, which will lead to resolution. This style is seen with a lot of reluctance and hesitancy to talk about things. And this leads to the inability to be able to solve problems. In these type of family situations, the silence, although it seems peaceful, is really deafening and causes a lot of emotional distance in these kinds of relationships. So again, the style we are trying to achieve in a family or in a couple or in a friendship is called assertive communication style. And in that, we see equally communicative partners or family members and a sharing back and forth of needs and wants and ideas. And there's a lot of respect that comes in this particular type of communication as well. Very healthy. The stark contrast between these types of communication are assertive, healthy communication versus passive aggressive or just aggressive are stark and ones that you can really recognize. So, when having trouble communicating in any kind of relationship, one of the first things you want to do is a lot of self reflection and acknowledgement of your own piece in the communication pattern. Take a look at where your own breakdown is, what you might be contributing to the problem, and how you can improve that by bringing your calm self and your reflective self to the table. When practicing healthy communication styles, remember that you want to actively listen to people. Practice listening and having empathy for the person that's talking to you. Get out of your head and don't try to make a rebuttal while they're talking. Instead, listen with your heart and your head and then respond with empathy after they're done explaining their side of the situation. During hard communication sessions, it is critical for you to set healthy parameters for yourself. Know what you are willing to talk about, what you're not willing to talk about, and make sure that self preservation is part of the action plan. One of the best pieces of advice I can give you is to remember that the past is in the past. And you need to, although those are important feelings and important things to review, we don't feel like get stuck in the past. Instead, we want to remember that we are in the present and we're trying to mend communication for the future. So try to stay in that emotional place where you're talking about present and future needs and wants and desires within this pattern of communication that you're establishing with a friend or family member. Another really important point for remembering when we're working on communication within difficult relationships is to offer forgiveness and to accept forgiveness from others. That way, you can move in a direction that is cohesive and you can begin to feel empathy for one another as you accept apologies and you also express